Good morning, got it. Yes, got it. Having such a time with this thing. Okay, today's the 23rd of October, 2016. Who's going to be ready for the elections to be over? I'm so sick of the elections. It's bizarre this year. Of course, every year is a little bit strange, but this year's been pretty brutal. I hope something brings our country back together from all these divisions and such, because I'm beginning to believe that Facebook and Twitter need a WTF button for some of the posts and stuff, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm working on several things. I'm working on answering a letter for a fellow who is doing some research of the Saunders family, but I think Saunders is from Bluefield, and he's trying to link it up over here to the one in Dry Fork. And about 17 years ago, I did some research on the black community up at Dry Fork. We were trying to do some background on the history of it, because the power company was trying to put power lines directly over their church, and they had been here since the 1870s. That community had began sometime in the 1870s, and so we did all that research on it, and told the story of the original families that settled Dry Fork, which is a fascinating history. And what I've been trying to do is scan in all the records that I have that when I went and did that research, and get it on disc and try to get it up on something online so that people can access all that work I did, because that was a lot of work. It really was. And I wanted to say something about doing research for people of color, and not just black, but Native American or any other color is a little bit different. And when you go to research the black families, he wanted to know, the letter wanted to take it all the way back to where his family was possibly slaves, and that's a possibility. Most were, but not all. So, history is one of those things that I love the genealogist, because it's the genealogist that's actually digging up the real history. And we used to call them the blue hairs, and I'm not blue hair yet, but I'm getting there. That used to come in to the archives and such that I worked at, and they would be turning over every little piece of paper looking for their ancestor, but they're the ones that are digging up the real history of what had gone on. And supporting it with documents and diaries and things like that. Now, when you do slave history and you're back to the slave owner, it's like double. You have to do double the work, because not only do you have to research the black side of the family, and some of them might be free, some of them might not, and they might even have some connections there with every relative. You have to go down every single relative looking for these straws, needles in the haystack, needle and straw. But you have to research all the white family too, and including the brothers and sisters who inherited what, and to try to follow the slaves through the families of where they were. And it's a sad history, but it's also you realize how rewarding it is when they do find where they're from, and beginning to understand too. One of the things that was notable to me was these original families up Dry Fork. There were 9 of them, I believe, 7 to 9, and they came out of Franklin County, and many of them were the slaves, the former slaves of Moses Booth, this man named Moses Booth, who was a tavern keeper. He was a liquor maker, is what he was. And at the end of the when he died in 1874, he left 6 or 7 families $1,000. In 1874, that's a lot of money. And so that's what they took, and they purchased land up here, and some of them sent their children up here, and they started the Dry Fork community. So it's a real fascinating little story, and I hope to get that written up one of these days. Well, I've got it written up on Blaine County History Archives. There's a story there, but I hope to put it on my blog too, and get those records, the records that are researched, because I think that'll help a lot of people. There were, I think, maybe 10 slave-owning families I've got records on from Franklin County, and I want to get those scanned and get them online so people can research them and try to maybe find their own roots. History's never clear-cut. It just isn't. I'm always amazed. I get aggravated at the old history books, the ones especially written in the 1800s or the late 1800s, early 1900s, especially about Appalachia. You got to test everything and ring it true, because half of it is BS, the biggest BS you ever saw in your life. There are stories that were kind of just written. They weren't researched. They weren't anything. And we have a lot of problems today when researchers such as myself do the stories, like Jenny Wiley's story. William Conley was so full of it, it was unreal. He made up a story that had a basis in fact, but most of it was just, it's not ringing, it doesn't pan out in the research. It just doesn't. For example, he said she was in prison for 18 months, or imprisoned by the Indians for 18 months, or up to 2 years, or something like that. She was only there a few months. By early spring, she'd gotten away from October, so that's a little bit different. Wasn't even there a year, wasn't even there 6 months. So, and then he made up this elaborate story of what happened to her. So you have to take all of those stories, and you have to take them with a grain of salt and get your research done and back up your sources. And so there's a lot of us that are, they call us revisionists, that we're revising history. We're not revising it. We're telling the true history, especially if you've got the documents to back it up, and the diaries to back it up, and the papers to back it up, and not just somebody's word for what they wrote. So I try to back up everything that I do. Okay, I didn't want to take this too long. Okay, I've got bees in my dining room. This is fun. Yeah, I don't know where they're coming in from, and they're big old yellow jackets. And I know where the nest is. I just saw it, and it's up high, guys. You know what that means? It's going to be a big snow here this winter. It's still kind of warm here, but they're coming in the house, and so I've been sucking it off with a vacuum cleaner. This is an old house. I got to go find the hole. It's Sunday, but guess what? I'm going to go find a hole where those bees are coming in and get them. And they're yellow jackets. They're going real slow, but I don't like yellow jackets. I don't like bees, and I got to get them out of my house. But that's what's going on, and I'm going to write this stuff up about how to do this research and put this stuff online as soon as I can. Just hang on. I don't know when I'll publish this, but it'll get there. Welcome to my world. Y'all have a good week. Have a good day. Have fun. Live life. Be glad you woke up in the morning. It's always a good thing.